Welcome to Night Shadows. I'm Stewart Best, where the paranormal is normal, where that which you thought you knew, you didn't, and where the future can be known if you know exactly where to look.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and listening. And we have Larry on his phone. How are you doing there, Larry?
Oh, hanging in, Stewart. Hanging in. Looks like we're going into fall and a tough winter.
Yeah, it does. I wanted to start. I know you want to do Lou Dobbs, but Trump is even using the word war. And why don't you bring up what Lou Dobbs had to say, or whoever it was that said it?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting because yesterday Trump dropped that term war in one of his addresses as this impeachment rolls forward. And Lou Dobbs tonight, September the 27th, started his show, and I want to tell you what it said. He said, "This is war. This is a warning. Dems are moving quickly to remove the president, and nearly 300 intel officers have signed a letter of impeachment against the president of the United States." And he said, remember this, he said, my last word, it's going to get worse.
Well, of course, these 300 whatever they're all deep state communists. I wish the people would wake up to the fact that we're involved in the final phase of a communist coup. I wanted to read something here. It comes out really of the rules for radical, and I don't have it in front of me, but this is Saul Lewinsky that wrote it, and it's about a takeover of the United States by the communists and how they're going to do it. And one of the things that they said was you have to polarize a nation, but it's very difficult if you're using an organization. It's very difficult if you're just using an ideology or a religion or anything like that. They said we have to have a person, an individual, and that individual will become the polarizer. It doesn't necessarily mean Trump is involved in it. It's just that they picked him because he is such a figure that he polarizes people. And Trump himself said, we are at war. And a couple of times he has used the word communist. And folks, this is exactly what we're involved in. We're involved in a communist takeover. And the American people are just sitting back twiddling their thumb. Isaiah 5:19 through 21. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. What do you think, Larry? Does that apply to what we're watching?
Well, I think that it does. And what's interesting, too, is, the Torah code that I posted a few days ago and we spoke about on the last show we did, called The Codes Discuss Efforts to Impeach Trump. One of the comments that Barry made was that he said during a previous code a couple of years earlier, when Trump was early in office, when he ran it, he found the term Trump will fall. And he said now he's tried to find it, and he said he's not able to find it. He's going to have to go back and search again and research. But it's very interesting because the code that we talked about recently says that they're going full-fledged with this impeachment. And matter of fact, today there was two comments today. Of course, yesterday General Jack Keane warned that this undermining of the president and the office of the president of the United States is extremely dangerous because this is when your enemies will come after you, and they'll pounce on you when you're in this weak spot. And then today there were some that was, matter of fact, Joe DeGeneva was actually claiming too. He said this is the third part of the coup. this is a communist coup. And the first part was to stop Trump from ever winning the presidency. The second part was Mueller, and the third part now is impeachment. This is a coup.
Yeah, and that whistleblower report, I got some stuff here. Well, anyway, here's a headline. This comes from the British papers. Trump says we're at war over impeachment sparked by sick whistleblower who was almost a spy and leaked footage while hinting at the death penalty, which he should get. I don't understand why Trump hasn't moved. Maybe he just can't. But if I was the President of the United States, I would fire every single one of the people that were involved in that phone call. And I would also fire the 300 people that have come out and said this is dangerous. They know they're communists, pure and simple. Well, you communists listening, you're going to get what you want. You're going to wish with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, you never wished for it. Because God is going to give it to you in spades. And then he's going to kill you all and take you to eternal hellfire unless you repent. And by that time, the only form of repentance you will have is to put your head in a guillotine. I hope you get that message. I hope you keep it in your heart. Eternity in hell is not good for a few weeks or months or a couple of years of absolute power. That's a psychopath that wants that kind of power. That's a sick psychopath. Anyway, having said that, the whistleblower complaint, have you read that, Larry? I got a copy of it. Go ahead. There's no way that whistleblower wrote that document. That document was very carefully crafted by a team of lawyers, and they know it. And it was filled with errors and lies and distortions. And I really do hope this backfires on them and exposes them for what they are. Because if it doesn't, America's going down. And remember, folks, we're coming up on 5/7/80. I think it's Monday, isn't it, Larry, that Rosh Hashanah begins? Sunday or Monday?
I believe that's right.
So here we go. I mean, and even here, he had help. Former CIA, NSC official questions too convenient and too perfect whistleblower report. Anybody who would read that report would have to conclude that was done by a team. And they were searching for dirt. They've manufactured it. And if the American people are so stupid they buy this, then I guess we go down. But what
you know what, Stewart?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you because you talked about it was crafted, and it was well-crafted lies. And what's interesting, I don't know if you saw Drudge's report a couple of days ago, but when this first came out, Drudge had a headline, and he called it Dossier 2.0. What do you think?
Good name for it. Yeah. I wondered when they were going to do this, because Deep State will now go to any extent they've cast their die, and they have to move now. They don't have an option. If they don't move now to foment revolution in America, which is probably what Trump is referring to when he says we're at war, we are at war against a communist coup. And the Republicans are equally treasonous. We don't have a two-party system, folks. It's a two-headed snake, and they're all in this together. Psalm 2 does not exempt any of them. They're in this together, but you got to remember, all of us have to remember one thing. It's all in the matrix. Jesus came to get us out of the matrix, to sail above all this garbage. We're watching America fall. We knew it was coming. And I'll get into some of the prophecies here in a little bit about it. I just read one of them. Woe to them that call good evil. That's the communists. That's Pelosi. That's Schumer. That's Clapper. That's Brennan. That's all these guys. They call good evil and evil good. Woe be unto them, says the Bible. These people are idiots when it comes right down to it. They have a very virulent form of the stupidity virus that Barry found in his Bible codes. I don't know, Larry, it just seems odd to me, but this guy here says he's been in the business for a long time, and no way was that written by the author. He had a lot of help. So, yeah, Dossier 2.0. What do you think? Where do you think this is going?
I think that's exactly what's going on, and as some of the generals are warning now, though, this is a very dangerous time because, as a matter of fact, I was on a show today with Augusto Perez, and he says this is giving him flashbacks of Cuba, and he said, he said from the start that Trump needed to start jailing these people, but now almost 3 years into the term and the coup, Augusto said unless people begin to go to jail almost immediately, Trump is going to go down. He cannot survive the onslaught they're bringing if he don't fight back.
Well, see, the communists have been doing this now for a long, long time, Larry. They've come into the schools. They've come in. We're graduating socialists. They probably wouldn't call themselves communists, but that's what they really are. They've infiltrated our judiciary. They've infiltrated Congress, the Senate, the House. They've infiltrated our court system and our educational system, our political system, and I don't think they can be stopped at this point. The New World Order, as I understand it, is basically a communist martial law system. And China is a good example of what's coming. Let me read this, Isaiah 61:1, to show you where we are. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has set me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prisons to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. And that is where Jesus stopped. But this is the rest of it. And the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn. So there you go. And we are at the vengeance of the Lord. These people are rising up, making their final death wail. That's what they don't understand. Deep state people are making their death wail. They really think they've got it. With their weapons and everything else, nobody can stop them. But the Lord says, I think I can. So, anyway, there we are, folks. Larry, I wanted to read this part, too, and I want your comment on it. We talked about it earlier. The righteous perish, and no man layeth it to heart. The merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. He shall enter into peace. They shall rest in their beds, each one walking in his uprightness. Now this is what's interesting, because right after that, after they're taken away, however this is done, that's what I want to talk about, because you did a whole thing on the death of the righteous. But draw near hither, ye sons of the sorceress, the seed of the adulterer and the whore. Against whom do you sport yourselves? Against whom make ye a wide mouth, and draw out the tongue? Are ye not children of transgression, a seed of falsehood, inflaming yourselves with your idols under every green tree, slaying the children in the valleys under the clefts of the rocks? We're there, Larry. We're there. The righteous are about to perish.
Well, I'll
What do you
tell
think?
you what's interesting, that kind of brought back, I guess you could say, a flashback of when I did an old report years ago called, and I titled it a really kind of a strange term. I called it God's Prehistoric Rapture. And, of course, I got a lot of problems with it when I did that. Nobody liked that. But what I looked at, you know, Ecclesiastes clearly says there's nothing new under the sun. Well, if that's true, and we're expecting something to happen to those that love the Lord, if you will, go back into history, you know, before the flood, and according to the book of Jasher now, and it's backed up a little bit by the book of Jubilees, which I'm not telling anybody to believe, but I think they're accurate. The book of Jasher clearly says that God removed his people, not, you know, through death, basically, something. I'll put it this way: the book of Jasher clearly says that in the year before the flood, that he removed his people, and you know, and they were dead, or appeared to be dead. They were killed. Something happened, and he didn't want them to see the evil that was coming on the earth. And so if that's true, and then what the scriptures you just read seem to indicate the very same thing that's coming is a removal. And you know, we've always understood that, well, you know, we've got doctrines built on how that, you know, all the Christians basically shoot up into heaven with their old decrepit bodies. I guess that means metal parts and false teeth and everything. I don't know. But, you know, that's how people think. And you know, you and I was talking earlier today, and I told you I'd had an experience, which I'm not at liberty to share yet, but a really interesting experience to where I clearly saw that the Lord could remove the soul and the spirit from an individual on planet Earth in an instant and leave the body. And, you know, I'm not going to go any further than that, but I still believe the old God's prehistoric rapture. I think he took his people, the ones that he didn't want to see to grieve and go through what they were going to have to go through as the end time approach to that degree of the destruction of the deluge. But I think we're about to approach the same time again, possibly. What do you think?
I believe that. Here's Jeremiah 8. I'll do 20. The harvest is past. The summer is ended. And we are not saved. Now, that's a really weird comment. We are not saved. How do they know they're not saved? Something must have occurred. So the harvest is past now. It's over. The summer is ended, which is another clue, because when was it, 923, we actually passed from summer over to fall, so the summer is now ended. And then all of a sudden, the world, evidently, and Israel in particular, says, we are not saved. The question I would have for everybody is, how do they know they're not saved?
Yeah,
something
and Stewart,
must have happened. A harvest took place.
Yeah, well, Stewart, how do they know a harvest took place and they wasn't part of it? This is something going on spiritually for that to occur.
Yes, absolutely. And here's another thing that's kind of interesting. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever their carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. And you relate that over to the verse that we shall mount up on eagles' wings. But what about this carcasses? Wheresoever the carcass is. That means a body's been left behind. Right?
Yeah, that's what that means. And Stewart, also, the eagle is not known as a vulture. Eagles don't eat dead flesh.
Yeah, this is interesting. And here's another one. This is for everybody in deep state, if you're listening. For lo, I will rise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows, missiles, shall be as a mighty expert man, expert telemetry, folks, and none shall return in vain. And Chaldea, which we are modern Chaldea, shall be a spoil, and all that spoil her shall be satisfied. Because you were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, because ye are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls, your mother shall be sure confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations, America, shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. We are on the cusp of all of this, folks. I can't tell you next month, next year, 2 years, but everything that's going on now is really, really dangerous for all of us. And, oh, by the way, the Sanhedrin Passover sacrifice was done today. Another step towards the tribulation. Folks, the Sanhedrin is rising up rapidly. They did their first sacrifice today. People took videos of it. Amazing. Amazing. They're going back under the law. Anyway. What do you got, Larry? You want to do that thing with Miley, General Miley, or that we know about?
Yeah, we can, because it's very interesting, the terminologies or the terms that all make up this matrix. But you and I both have listened to Barry Rothman, and he's always talking about the deep state that's always probing his website. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, he talks to me a lot of times by saying they came from my blog to his website. And anyway, this is very interesting because it's 17 words is in this matrix, and they're very strange words, really strange. You have to really think to put all this together. But anyway, he titled it "Link Between Fort Hutua and the Torah Code." And anyway, he also made a comment, which I'll read after I read off all the terms, and then get your comment, because I think you'll understand exactly where he's coming from. Number 1, Hutua. Number 2, Millie. And, of course, we know that's Fort Hutua, and that's General Mark Milley, yeah. Hutua, and then Millie, and then number 3, Sapphire. Number 4, Joseph. Number 5, Fort. Number 6, Intelligence. Number 7, Time. Number 8, UFO. Number 9, Computer. Number 10, Policeman. Number 11, Seer or Spy. Number 12, Angel. Number 13, General. Number 14, To Spy. Number 15, Alien. Number 16, Future. Now get this. Number 17, the Lord. Now, we're aware that Barry Rothman is, under the law and lives under it and don't believe the Messiah ever came. So the Lord being in this matrix was nothing he could control. I find it telling, but Rothman made a comment at the end of this matrix, and this is what he said, Barry Rothman. He said, General Mark Milley, Fort Hutua, suggested a reality as strange as in the movie The Matrix. What do you think,
Well,
sir?
it is, of course. Yeah, it is. That's what the 2 books on frequency are all about. We live in a matrix, and unfortunately the matrix is locked down. Now, what's interesting to me is General Milley is in here, because you remember General Milley was at Norwich University speaking to the graduating officer class and said they would not just be fighting people. Remember that?
I remember, yes.
And so this ties right into the other words you're reading about UFO, alien, and whatnot. Wow. Keep going.
Okay, that's it. It's just 17, but what struck me was the last wording in the phrase was the Lord. And you know, when I saw that, it's almost reminded me of the rabbis lately, Glaserson and all of them. They're really coming up with a lot of what they call codes that indicate the approach of Messiah, which we know that we don't know which one that is, but we're close to a messianic age.
Yes, very close. And the fact that Joseph and Sapphire are in there would indicate a return to law, which they're doing right now. Israel's going back under the law, and they have, of course, refused the Christians, Jesus Christ. They just don't want anything to do with that. And it's going to get very, very interesting. But the fact that UFO is in there is also, that indicates an arrival very, very soon. Because the arrival, anti-Messiah or Messiah that they're looking for, and a reinstitution of temple worship, the reinstitution of sacrifice, etc., would tend to confirm an arrival. Right?
Well, we do know, Stewart, that right now, Stan Deyo has been really over and over and over calling about an arrival and warning about an arrival. And I met with our L.A. Marzulli up here, you know, a week or so ago, and he just came from the Branson Conference, which involved Tom Horn and Steve Quayle, and, you know, I'm not going to name all of them, but it was a lot of those that are in the forefront of the UFO and a fallen angel and the alien technology and all that. And he said the thrust was that this new stuff from the Navy is a soft disclosure because the arrival is very, very close.
That's what I think. They're rapidly trying to. There is a program called the not NASA, but NSA Acclimation Project, a slow leak to people through the movies and through all this that we are not alone, preparing people for an arrival and preparing people for the great deception, the great delusion of Thessalonians, ties directly to an arrival and the damnation of the human race, because they have embraced aliens that grew up in other star systems and other environments, and therefore they look different. It's the same thing. It's the days of Noah all over again when they returned the first time. And if you go into the book of Enoch, it's very, very interesting. It says they were all shapeshifters. And they took on various appearances. So here we go again, it looks like to me. Here's another headline. Impeachment is nothing less than a full-scale communist coup attempt by treasonous Democrats who long ago sold out America and the American people for globalism. Anyway, there you go. That says it all, I think. And here's one with Steve Brannon. Did you see this on the Torah Code site, Ark Code?
I possibly did. I can't remember. Which one?
Okay,
which one is it?
It says Steve Brannon compares Nancy Pelosi's impeachment push to start a civil war.
Wow.
And here are the words. The civil, army, the war, B. Obama, impeachment, wall, Michelle, president, conspiracy, Bannon. Those are the words. He doesn't really explain it. He just says, is Michelle Obama behind the effort to impeach Trump, soil Biden, which I think is exactly what they're doing, and trying to cause a civil war? Because they almost always try to do a civil war and then they come in to fill the void, and everybody's screaming for law and order, and government's got to do something. Well, they're all prepared to do something. Lockdown, New World Order. So,
yeah,
what do you think of that one?
Yeah, speaking of that, Stewart, I saw a very interesting post today, and I called you and talked to you about it on Hal Turner's site, where he had a Bofing UV5R two-way communication transceiver that was on sale. He had them on his site, a link where you could purchase them, or you could get them still at Amazon. And Bofing is made in China, but they're cheap, and they do work because I've got one. And what his report was saying, and I wasn't aware of that as of October the 1st, just a few days, is the deadline where these two-way radios become illegal to purchase. In other words, if you have one already, I guess they grandfather it, and you can use it. You have to then, I think, but there's a change. You won't even be able to purchase them, and he was indicating that this is part of the plan to keep Americans from communicating when whatever happens begins to happen. They want people in the dark and unable to receive communications. So, I was telling you that for people that are going on the cheap, only $20-something or so, you can get one of these and you can at least listen to what's being said out there. And this is what's interesting, Stewart, to back this up. Now, I can't say the accuracy of the October the 1st. I haven't read it. He seemed to have all the information on that deadline. But I do know that they're clamping down on communications, and I'm not going to say where I was at, but I was at a meeting, and I was told by someone in the know that there was an event coming, and I've told this once before, I think, but I'll reiterate it, that there was an event coming to where when this happens, everybody will know to turn their ham or shortwave receivers or whatever on and listen. And in other words, what I was told says, do not talk, only listen. If you talk, they can find you. But whenever this event occurs, just listen and follow the information. And so, Stewart, there's something coming. And I know me and you hadn't really talked about two-way radios or anything like that, but something like one of these Bofangs, which is really cheap to get, might be something you'd want to listen in on what's going on around you.
Yeah, and it's going to be crucial because it may be an EMP event, or they just shut down the grid, so that unless you do have a battery-powered radio or solar or hand crank shortwave, you're going to be totally in the dark, and that's exactly what they do. But here's an interesting little tidbit. This is from Snowden. The guy that he said an extremely classified report, he just stumbled on it, was disclosed the NSA's deepest secret, the existence of a program called Stellar Wind that collects every bit of electronic communication in existence and stores it permanently. It's all part of the Mark of the Beast system, folks. They got dossiers on everybody. And here's another headline, Larry, I want to talk about. China slapped U.S. by signing a $400 billion deal with Iran despite the sanctions. What do you make of that? I think that's like China giving the U.S. the finger.
Well, Stewart, we are at war. There is a world war against the United States, and a lot of that war is operating within the boundaries of the United States itself. It's a takedown, and this is part of the game. This is what's being played. This coup, this Trump coup, if you will, is not only centered in Washington, D.C., it's centered worldwide. And you know well as I do, the UN wants Trump gone. He's got his foot in the door, and he's blocking the whole New World Order takedown, especially of the USA.
Yep, it's going to be interesting to see just how long the Lord has his hand on Donald Trump, because if Donald Trump has finished his work, they'll be successful. If he hasn't, no matter what they do, it will not be successful. It's kind of like Paul kicking against the pricks, you know. Why are you doing this? You're wasting your time. Geomagnetic storm warning. What's that about?
Well, we've got a lot of activity. There's a huge, massive, and this is another thing, Stewart. For people that's just following mainstream media, you're not really going to have a clue. But we're having a lot. There was a huge coronal hole opened on the sun a couple of days ago, and that stream of energized particles are coming down. And I don't know how much time you've got. I wanted to talk about a book real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. We got another about 7 minutes.
Okay.
I did it for 45.
I wanted to bring up this book because it's very, very interesting. It's a new one from Bobby Ackert, and Bobby Ackert he's a Christian, and he embeds a lot of data in his books. And he wrote this book. It's called Geostorm: The Shift. It's part of a series he's writing, and he's used NOAA, space weather, which we're familiar with and just talked about. And also he uses intel from Space Weather Woman, which you're familiar with because I post some of her stuff. And also he links it to the U.S. Air Force and Space Fleet. So there's a lot of telling stuff. And what's interesting in the book, when it starts out, let me read these 3 little quotes here. I think they're something people need to hear. Number 1, Aesop's fable. A grasshopper frolicked while an ant stored food for the winter. When the winter came, the ant was comfortable. The grasshopper not so. Prepare for the future. And then Proverbs 6:6-8. Go to the ant, O sluggard, observe her ways and be wise. And then, of course, this is classic Bobby Ackert. All you need for happiness is a good gun, a good horse, and a good wife. But anyway, all laughing aside, this new book is really telling, Stewart, because, you know, he says this is a fiction book. But everything, I've read the whole book. I've just finished it. And Geostorm: The Shift has a lot of embedded data from the agencies I just told you about, and it's not mainstream media news. This is the real deal. And guess what? It involves basically the change of the magnetic poles, the movements of those, the pole swap that's coming. It involves and affects the geomagnetosphere, which is turning and changing and weakening severely and allowing all of the streams of charged particles and radiation from the sun to impact Earth. Now, that's a quickie, with what this book is about. He's got a lot of stuff. And, Stewart, as I read Geostorm: The Shift, as I look outside, Stewart, and watch the little bit of stuff from around the world, it's already happening.
Yeah, we're here. People, I guess, are in denial. They're drinking a lot of denial tea. They don't want to admit it. You've been warning. I've been warning for a long time. Here's a new headline. New Madrid is jolting again. Magnitude 3.1, 2.8 earthquakes in Missouri. It's coming alive. New Madrid, folks, that's where the biggest earthquake to hit America hit. When was that? Back in the 1800s, I guess. And here's another one. Hundreds of wildfires spreading across Alabama as temperatures hit 100 degrees amid a sweltering southern drought affecting 11 million people. The weather's going nuts.
Hey, Stewart.
What else do you have? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, you talked about the wildfires and all of that. Well, listen, the headlines today are just absolutely, completely bizarre. The Quail Alerts have got a new post, and I checked, and it's real. Arctic Express coming to the Northwest early, and it's predicting a lot of Arctic air that's dropping out of the Arctic already and this is just like September the 27th, and Stan Deo posted another post on there that basically read that, let's see if I can find it here real quick. I know we don't have much time here. talking about, he was talking and warning about early snowstorms that were already possibly on the way as early as the first day of spring. I mean, this stuff's coming. It's coming already, and the changes are all over the world. So, Stewart, all we can do is kind of tell people, and all of these warnings seem to indicate to people, prepare your home. Get ready. It's not going to be fun.
Yeah, we're going into a very super bad winter, I think. I can feel it. You can see it. The fall is very strange up here. It's just, I don't know what you call it. Massive changes that are coming, and not anything we can do about it except prepare. And as far as where the Lord's, when He's coming back for His people, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that works. But I read you some of the prophecies which indicate that some event is going to occur in the very near future where Israel and the world basically will say, we're not saved. The only way they could say that is if something globally occurred and a whole group of people either died or were taken out in some manner or another. And with the Sanhedrin doing what it did today, with the rise of the Sanhedrin, the rise of no-ride laws, very dangerous to the Christians, we're there. I mean, it's just a question of a few years at the very most, and this thing is just escalating so rapidly. Any final word there, Larry? We got a little time.
Okay. There's a very interesting post that Deo also posted, and you talked about earlier in the show the NSA and what they're doing. And matter of fact, since Trump came into office, we haven't seen one change in the spying on the American people. Not one.
No,
and
not one.
Listen to this headline. This is from Stan Deo. He says, smart TVs now caught sending sensitive user data to Facebook and Netflix. And that's posted by blacklistednews.com.
Yep, and then you got Google. I mean, the surveillance state, 5G is rapidly spreading itself. I'm still working on the book for frequency called the Digital Matrix, and the subtitle is Mark of the Beast. We're almost here, folks. They've got the technology. They're working on it furiously. Trump is actually absolutely behind 5G. So is Vladimir Putin. China's using it. This is, and 5G, by the way, is a military frequency, and I don't know if you can connect the dots that way, but if you're going to use something that's military, then most likely you're looking and staring at a martial law system that they're working on secretly, and they'll just spring it on us when the time is right. There are rumors about the economy not being as they are stating it is. Not that they would lie to us, of course. But any final word there, Larry?
Yeah, you were mentioning martial law, and I've seen some experts the last couple of days on late news that were saying that we're already in America basically under martial law. They just hadn't told you to stay home yet.
Yeah, well, you know, the surveillance is so great now that, I don't know, you can't escape it. That's the sad part, folks. You really can't escape the surveillance state. It is here. It's here to stay. They've worked on it in secret. They don't care if it makes you ill. In fact, there was a deal where I think they had a carrier group or a ship, and they were using 5G, and a bunch of sailors, I guess, committed suicide, and they're wondering if it had anything to do with it. So anyway, heads up, folks. We got Rosh Hashanah coming up, Feast of Trumpets, and that'll be here on, I think it's Sunday or Monday, and we go into a whole new 2020 for Israel at that point in time. Anyway, thanks a lot, Larry, for coming on, and thanks a lot, for everyone, for listening, and the Lord willing, we'll see you again. Take care.